Well. Secret reactor here. How's everyone doing today? And like a moth to a flame, the Champions League is back. The Champions League season is now back in session, and they have just released the groups of the Champions League. I heard that this season is the last season they will introduce group, and they will now make a full-on league in which, the best teams go in to move on to the next round. And well, either way, I will make a prediction of that format, but supposedly this is the last season of the group stages in the Champions League. So this is a special event in which we will now predict the last group of the Champions League. Well, the last group stages of the Champions League. So let's start with, I think personally, my second group of death. Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray. Who do I think is going to be winning this group? Well, to be honest, Bayern Munich has first place for me. They've been consistently going to the Champions League. They're the best team in Bundesliga, and they don't disappoint. They barely disappoint in Champions League. So I have them winning first. Manchester United and Galatasaray is where it's at. Galatasaray has been building a squad. Has been building a beautiful squad. Copenhagen, for me, easily has to be last place. So, who do I think is going to be moving on to the Europa League? United or Galatasaray? Well, United has not been performing well within the Champions League, I'll be honest with you. And they're just starting out, so I still have to give it to Manchester United, I still have to give it to him. Just because of the league. So I would literally keep it the same way, just switch up Galatasaray, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray will find himself in the Europa League. Next up, the Group B, Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV, and Lens. I think this is the first time Lens is going into the Champions League, I don't know. But I will see them, Arsenal winning first place, because right now they're doing pretty good in the Premier League. They have a beautiful squad in their hands. And it would basically be Sevilla and PSV fighting out for second and third. Lens, I think, like I said, it's their first season in the Champions League. And the place they're at is where they stay. Fourth place. So I will say, because it's hard, Sevilla is a Europa League merchant. And then PSV has not been really in the Champions League a lot, so I'm going to give it 2. Arsenal, Sevilla going in. PSV, Lens. PSV, Europa League, Lens is going out. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. And then we'll move on to Group C. Napoli, Madrid, Braga, and Union Berlin. Real Madrid, no doubt in my mind, going first place. It's going first place. Napoli second. Braga going last. Union Berlin in the Europa League, Real Madrid, how are you going to leave out the Mr. Champions League? Not Mr. Champions League, the owner of the Champions League. How are you going to leave them out? They will be in first place, obviously. Napoli is a very, very strong contender. And just because they're a strong contender, they will stay. Union Berlin, though, won't be an easy team to defeat. I will say that. And Braga, easily they're the weakest link here. So I will say Madrid, Napoli, Berlin, Braga. How will see it. Now we move on to Group D. Benfica, Inter Milan, RB Salzburg, and Real Sociedad. This team this group isn't necessarily the group of death, but it isn't an easy team to predict. So I would say, easily for me, I think Inter will get first place. Now, these 3 teams, I think they're very easily a match. The thing is, Real Sociedad hasn't been in the Champions League for a long time, but they aren't an easy team to beat. Salzburg, Benfica have the most experience in the Champions League. Benfica moving on of the group stages more times. I think Benfica has a beautiful. They've been consistent with the Champions League, and I would say Inter first place, It has to be Benfica second. It has to be. And then it has to be Sociedad to the Europa League and Salzburg last place. That's how I see it. So Inter, Benfica, Real Sociedad, and Salzburg. That's how I see it. Group E, Feyenoord, Atletico Madrid, Lazio, and Celtic. Okay, Atletico Madrid, I have to put them first. That's how they are going to be. Atletico Madrid going to be first place. If not, because, Feyenoord is cooking this season. They've been cooking for a long, last season. They've been cooking. So, I don't know. It's between Lazio and Feyenoord. But the thing is, Lazio, Feyenoord, and Celtic, I would say they are pretty evenly matched due to the fact that they have not been in the Champions League for a long time. Lazio been in the Europa League, so they have a little bit of competition. So has Celtic. A lot of these teams have had European competition, but I haven't seen them in Champions League in some time. I would have to put in Feyenoord second. I have to compare. I think how it is. Just switch up Atletico Madrid and Feyenoord. So it would be Atletico Madrid, Feyenoord, Lazio, and Celtic. That's how I see it in my eyes. Now we move on to the group of death. PSG, Dortmund, Milan, and Newcastle. These are teams that are very, very big in their country. Very hard to predict this one. But I see it this way. Milan have a better team, better communication, better chemistry than I would say than PSG. I would argue that Milan would beat PSG because PSG have a bunch of good talent. I'm not gonna deny it. They're very rich. They have a lot of good talent. But the thing is that Milan has more. I feel like Milan has more football spirit than PSG. PSG is just a wreck. To be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if PSG don't make it out of the group stages and end up in the Europa League. But I would have Milan first place. Now it's between PSG, Dortmund, and Newcastle. And Newcastle right now have a rocky start in the Premier League, so that takes away a lot of points in their favor. I have to put in PSG against Dortmund for second place. Dortmund has been consistent through and through. They are not an easy team to beat. They've been in Champions League almost every single season. PSG is more of a wreck, but they ain't a force to be reckoned with. So I would have to put in Milan, PSG. And then it would be Dortmund and Newcastle for the Europa League spot. Newcastle haven't had a lot of European competition as of lately. So I would have to put them in last place. And Dortmund will go into Europa League. Just because Newcastle haven't had a bunch of experience with the Champions League. Recently. I know they've been in the Champions League, but they haven't had it recently. They have a rocky starting out the Premier League season. And I would have to put in as Milan, PSG, Dortmund, Newcastle. And then Group G. Group G and Group H are basically how it's going to be. I think this is how it's going to end. Manchester City, Leipzig are going through. Trivencelia, Cervalia will probably be last place. And then Young Boys to the Europa League. And then Group H, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar, and Antwerp. I think that's how it's going to be. I think that's how it's going to end. Now, who do I think is going to be winning the Champions League? This is a very, very hard question for any person watching the Champions League. Listen, my top contenders winning this is probably Manchester City, Madrid, probably, because I don't know. It depends. You know what? It depends. If Madrid can get a striker in the winter transfer, but they don't believe in it. if they believed in the winter transfer Real Madrid, they probably could snatch up a great striker. Hopefully they can just break that stupid tradition and get a striker. If they get a striker in the winter transfer, I would have them rated highly. But since they don't have a fucking striker, and Jude Bellingham is scoring all the goals right now, it's very hard to predict them. I want them to win it, but at the same time, I don't know. I think Barcelona has a better chance this season of winning, getting higher than Real Madrid, in my opinion. But you don't leave out Real Madrid. You don't leave out just someone like that. You don't leave them out. So Barcelona also have a good shout. They have a full squad, a great striker, a great midfield. They have a lot of great players on their hands. So I would say the top contenders for me winning this year's Champions League should be Arsenal, Bayern, and City. Arsenal, Bayern, and City. And here's the thing, I have no idea. Arsenal, Bayern, and City, to be honest. And it's really hard to predict this one. And I would have to put in... I really don't want to say it, but I think maybe, it's a good shout that City might win it. City might win it again. But, I'm rooting this season, I'm rooting for Arsenal to win it. I really want Arsenal to win this year's Champions League. Because even though I'm a United fan, I really think Arsenal should win this year's Champions League. To be honest, I really think Arsenal should win it. It'll be a great addition. I mean, it'll be a great trophy for them, to be honest. But yeah. Like I said, these are my predictions. Who's gonna be winning the Champions League this year? Let me know who you think is going to be winning this year's Champions League. Let me know who's going to be making it out of the group stages, who's going to the Europa League. Down below in the comment section below. I love you guys so much. It's been your boy Secret Reactor. I'll see you guys next Thursday. So take care of yourself. Peace.